actually grew up right here in Willimantic, right here. And sad to say, I was a rather sickly child. And I grew up to be an adult that suffered from chronic pain, depression, weight issues, and autoimmune conditions.
Oh, wow. So with that said,
Well,
what are they going to be learning this week?
Well, that's why I'm so excited, because the things that you will be hearing this week, when I heard them, I began to slowly implement them. And guess what? I began to heal and feel better. And now I feel better than ever. So this week, you are going to learn some of the secrets, so-called secrets, but the free and available things that are available to help build health. Doesn't that sound exciting? Yes.
That sounds exciting for me. So, but of course, putting this all together, you know, we have people who supported us throughout the time, and I want to, you know, take some time and say thank you to our sponsors. So, ACT Capitol Theater, this is a beautiful place.
Yes.
They allowed us to host this place here. WILI Radio, they definitely supported us. Thank you. BJ's Wholesale, they also supported us. Wellness MD Mom, Wells Spring Health Ministry.
Thank you.
Gladness Essential, Mackey's Home and Garden. They have beautiful gardens, by the way. Caring Solutions, a home health company, and Complete Care at Harrington Court, and of course, Urban League of Hartford.
Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you so much. And, you know, Carmela, one of the things that I am most excited about is that all of you here and those who are joining from our virtual audiences, you will get to taste some wonderful food samples.
Yum.
Yeah. How's that sound? Pretty
Yummy.
good, pretty good. And thank you to our virtual sites, because they'll be providing that for you as well. And you'll get recipes, you'll get tips, you'll get so much more. But we need to go ahead and introduce our speaker.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So without further ado, our speaker today, Tina,
is Rico
Hill.
And Rico Hill, yes. Rico Hill is a friend. He is a TV producer, author, creator of the From Sickness to Health television program, as well as this seminar. And Rico, after a career in television, he learned that that instead of building television shows, he wanted to build health. So without further ado, let's introduce Rico Hill.
Am I on here? That sound, there it is. Good evening, Willimantic. It's so nice to be here. You could not ask for a more beautiful day in the Northeast than today. Am I right? I am visiting you all from Maryland. Yeah, from Maryland, and it's kind of pretty down there, but much more beautiful. I've never been to Willimantic before, so I'm very excited to be here with you all today, this evening, and for this entire week. Give yourselves just a wonderful round of applause for valuing your health. Now, I have to, full disclosure, there are laptops all over this place. There's a laptop there. There's one there. There are a couple of them up there. You got it working? I was about to say, all these laptops, but none of them are working. But I'm told, if you can show it up on the screen, it wasn't the one that was right there. I'll present whatever comes up. There you go. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, Tina, thank you so much for that introduction. Where's Tina and Carmelo? Thank you so much for that introduction. She mentioned that I went from being a television executive, producing television shows, and producing what I like to call unhealthy people. You understand this? Producing unhealthy people, because I would basically be making programs that would cause people to watch television all day long and usually with something that they would dip into a bowl and something that was crunchy. Yeah? And this was causing a lot of problems. And I decided to leave that kind of work and instead produce healthy people. And you know what? It's been going really, really well. A few books, authoring a few books later, traveling the world, sharing this information, and watching people's lives change. That is what I live for. Now, to get started, I'd always like to start with a story. By the way, hello to those who are joining us via live stream. I've heard that people are joining us from California, from Florida and North Carolina. In fact, someone called me and said, have a great trip. I had no idea who it was. They said, I heard you're going to be in Willimantic. I was like, yes, it's true. You must work for the FBI. But wonderful to be here. I always like to start with a story. And there is a story that I enjoy telling. It sets the stage for me. It sets the stage for everything that I'm going to be sharing. And it's a good story. I like this story, so I'm going to tell it to you today. Is that all right? Yeah. As we get started? Yeah. Very good. All right. So there were two doctors. How many doctors? Two doctors. One of them was an older gentleman just about to retire. He was a really good doctor. He loved people. He was compassionate. He was loving and caring. And he didn't mind spending time with people to make sure that they would get well. But there was this young upstart doctor who was coming on the scene, and he was ready to just make lots of money, and he was so excited. It was a small area, sort of like Willimantic, probably even smaller than Willimantic. Anyway, as this older doctor saw this young, brash doctor coming on the scene, he figured, you know what? I owe these people in this town a little more than this. Maybe I should leave gradually and offer them something that keeps them well, keeps them healthy. At $500, he would cure any ill or anything that ailed anyone for $500. How much was it? $500, and he would cure whatever it was. Well, this incensed the young doctor because he's stepping on my territory. He's getting in my way. He should be retiring. So he says, you know what? I'll prove that this charlatan is a fraud, and I'm going to expose him. So he goes into this older doctor, and he says, so I hear you've got this program that you're running, this campaign that you're charging $500, and you'll cure whatever ails a person. Is that true? The doctor said, yes, that's true. He says, well, I've got $500, and I've got a problem. He says, what's your problem? He said, my problem is I can't taste. I've lost my sense of taste. He says, you can't taste? He says, no, I can't taste anything. He said, you can't taste anything. He said, I don't even know what I was really eating for breakfast this morning. I couldn't taste it. Oh, the doctor was very wise. He thought for a moment, looked over at his nurse. He said, nurse, pass me that bottle up there. Says 22X. She grabbed it, she brought it over to him. He poured a little in a cup, handed it to the younger doctor. He took a taste of it. He said, that's gasoline. He said, I've just cured your sense of taste. Now, this upset that younger doctor. You understand? So he left. He thought about it a couple of days. He says, I'm going to go back and I'm going to expose this guy. So he comes back the next day. Or a few days later. He comes back and he says, Doc, I got another problem. He says, what's your problem? He says, well, my problem is I can't remember anything. He says, you can't remember anything? He says, I can't remember anything. He says, that's a tough case. But let me see what we can do. Looked over to the nurse. Said, nurse, pass me that jug up there that says 22X. He says, wait a minute. You gave me that the other day. He said, I just cured your problem with your memory. This was a doctor that I can appreciate. Couldn't you? Because we live in a world where did you know that we spend $316 billion, that's with a B, $billion on healthcare. Healthcare, which is really sick care in this country. We spend a lot of money on people to get well, and yet, would you agree, we're not really getting any better? And we've just come out of a pandemic situation, haven't we? Now, everybody should be really concerned about health after this pandemic. Would you agree? But what they found as we went through this issue, let me see here. Could you click the next slide for me, please? And we've got sound, we've got audio. Hold tight right there. Hold tight right there. I'll ask you to click the next slide. We have just come out of a pandemic, and what they discovered during this pandemic was that, listen, they discovered that people were sick primarily because of, and you know this, comorbidities. What are those? They're underlying conditions. Things like heart disease, diabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure. Do you know anybody who has that? Anyone? Yeah. We have a pill for everything these days, right? But we found during the pandemic, it really exposed something that I'm going to be sharing with you throughout these 5 days that really are largely preventable and will help you should there be another crisis like what we've just experienced over the last 2 years. Yes? We will actually be able to deal with it in a much wiser and healthier way. Now, something has happened to our society. You know what it is? Something happened to our society where we stopped liking to eat a certain type of food. I'll tell you, when I was raising my sons, I thought I was super dad. They would come to me and say, "Give me more broccoli." And I was like, what? No one in the history of mankind has ever been able to accomplish this. My sons are asking for extra broccoli. Then one day, somebody gave them potato chips. And guess what happened? No more broccoli. Here's a video that kind of gives you a sense that we have to really do something to save our children. I hope this works. Is there audio? That's how serious it is. We stopped eating vegetables. We stopped doing the things that will keep us healthy. You can stop that video. Thank you. Appreciate it. But this is what has happened. Now, what we are going to be sharing with you tonight is a presentation called Habits or Lifestyles of the Longest Living Americans. Habits or Lifestyle of the Longest Living Americans. Now, lifestyle is important. Remember, there was a show on television called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. Robin Leach, every episode would have champagne and caviar. He would have all the things that rich people love to partake of, and yet Robin Leach died of a massive heart attack and stroke. Now, that was the lifestyle of the rich and famous. And then I went searching. I said, what are some of the other societies who have had a lifestyle that is of note? And I looked at Rome. Rome was the modern achievement, or of that time, of antiquity. They had paved roads, and they had indoor plumbing, and all these amazing things. They had a wonderful lifestyle, you would agree. Do you know what the average lifespan was of a Roman citizen? You were close. 25 when you factor in infant mortality. 25. No more than 55, though. So anywhere between 25 years of age and 55 was the lifespan of a Roman citizen. So even though they had all these modern conveniences, they had all the technology, yet they didn't live very long. So it wasn't good, the lifestyle that they had. Then I looked at the ancient Egyptians. They had pyramids. They had all these, they had education for everyone. They had all these things, and yet, do you know what the lifespan was of an Egyptian? Average? They didn't live more than 40 years. So when you take these three types of lifestyle, there's something wrong. Wouldn't you agree? You would agree. There's something's wrong with that kind of lifestyle. And we find that when we just follow a certain lifestyle, we actually can avoid many of the trappings of those who have come from antiquity, even those who have in modern day have lived shorter lives, sick lives, by just doing some very simple things. We like to call them health principles, habits of the longest living Americans. I'm going to show you tonight who they are as we talk about blue zones. Have you ever heard of the blue zones? You've heard of the blue zones? Fantastic. You've heard of the blue zones? Fantastic. Some of you haven't. Oh, you're going to be so excited when I tell you what the blue zones are. Maybe Willimantic could be an area where there is a blue zone. Somebody likes that idea. Well, the things that I'm going to share with you could start you on the way to being naturally a blue zone. Now, what is a blue zone? A blue zone is an area where you have naturally occurring centenarians or people who live a really long time, 100 years or more, right? And they just do it naturally. And they went around the world looking for what was the commonality among these people. What were they doing that was so special? And they discovered it was lifestyle. It was their lifestyle. It was what they were doing. And they were doing naturally. Oh, they weren't people or aren't people who had to join a gym. No. They weren't people who were, being, as people like to refer to, as health nuts. They weren't necessarily that. They were just doing things that were so natural, accessible, things that anyone could do anytime and relatively either free or for little money, right? So how many blue zones are there? There are 5. How many did I say? 5. There are 5 naturally occurring blue zones. And again, they live the longest among all people around the world. First one, write it down. There will be a quiz later. The first one, you're taking me seriously. I'm just joking. She pulled out her pen. She's ready to write it down. I like Willimantic. There are 5. The first one is Okinawa, Japan. Okinawa, Japan. Longest living, guess what? Well, let's be a little more specific than that. Who said that? I'm going to ask for the persons who have seen my presentations before not to call out answers from the balcony. But he's right. He's right. The longest living women are in Okinawa, Japan. Now, the next one is Sardinia, Italy. Italy. And they have the longest living men up in the highlands. Longest living men are in Sardinia, Italy. Then there's Icaria, Greece, right? There's another, when you go across the waters to Costa Rica, they also are a naturally occurring blue zone. And then, right here in the good old US of A, you have Loma Linda, California. Ever hear of the place? Loma Linda, California has the longest living people in this country. They are also a blue zone. And they have all of these centenarians. They get their diet largely from plants, which they found was common among them. They exercise naturally. They go on walks, in other words. They take walks. They don't necessarily belong to gyms. They are over 100 years old. There was one woman whose name was Marge Jeton. Marge Jeton. And she lived to be 107 years old and still had her driver's license. I like that. You went, what? Don't give up your license yet. You might become a blue zone. She not only had her driver's license, but she actually was driving. Yeah. She belonged to a gym. She was volunteering several times a week. She's passed now, but she lived to be 107 years old. There was also a heart surgeon. He got a lot of fame, appeared on Dr. Oz and various of these shows that come on who talk about these wonderful, wonderful feats in America. And they were talking to this doctor, Dr. Wareham, and he was a heart surgeon. And he was doing surgeries, open heart surgeries, up until he was, guess how old? 100 years old. Steady hand still. I tell you, when people follow these principles that we're talking about and going to be talking about all week long, tomorrow night, you don't want to miss it. Heart disease. In the UK, someone dies of a heart attack every 5 minutes. Don't be impressed by that. In the US, it's every 1 minute. Every minute, somebody. Since I've been talking, there have been several heart attacks somewhere. So tomorrow, we're going to do a presentation called When Hearts Attack. When Hearts Attack. As if that's possible, right? But we're going to talk about these things, these lifestyle issues. But this man in Loma Linda was doing heart surgery on people like I just described up until he was 100 years old. And they're not so unique, Dr. Wareham and Marjaton. They are not uncommon. They're everywhere in this area, and it's because of the principles that we're sharing. They drive, they work out, they take trips, they date. I'm just saying. Can you imagine that? Going on a date at 105? I can't either. But anyway, they do it. They do it. And we can learn something from them. From them, we can learn something. Now, what are the principles? Normally, you would be seeing some video up here. Some slides and so forth. But something is, we promise tomorrow to have this worked out. But I know the presentation well enough that I can help to paint a picture in your imaginations. Is that all right? You solved the audio? Yeah. It's just tomorrow's presentation that's up there. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. We'll press on because we have a lot of things to share with you. So we want to keep going, and we want you to learn tonight. Now, I need to share with you what those principles are. Do you know what they are? Do you have any idea? I like to say that there are 10 of them, but some people say there are 8 primary health principles that most people don't even know about. But the people in these blue zones, they know them, they use them, they are applied to their lives, and they have wonderful outcomes, right? Now, they're not popping pills necessarily, right? Because there's a pill for everything today now, right? Everything there's a pill. And most people want their health from a pill or from a bottle, right? I hear that they even have a pill for internet searching distress. Have you heard of this? I'm not making it up. I am not making it up. I'm telling you, friends, we are in a world right now where people spend more time on the internet, on their computer, doing things on their computer, not exercising, not really drinking water, not doing the things that would make them healthy, and therefore they have problems, right? So this is a real issue, especially among young people. Oh, I wish there were more young people here. I was reading some stats just the other day. Teen pregnancy down. Yeah? Good. That's good, right? Teen alcohol and drug abuse down. Excellent, right? Teen death by automobile down. But guess what's up? Teen suicide. And what they're identifying is because of doing this all the time. All the time, right? So there's so many things that the principles that we're sharing could really remedy if people knew and understood them. So let's deal with the first one. First of all, what is stress? Stress or managing stress is a health principle. Did you know that? Managing stress is a health principle. Can you avoid stress altogether? No, you can't. You can't. Stress is natural. There is a thing to stress, right? And that is, they call it the fight or the flight response. Are you familiar with this? It was an Ivy League professor who coined the phrase fight or flight response. And that is, when there is an issue, you either are going to fight or you're going to take flight. So you get a burst of adrenaline, you get a burst of cortisol, and you are off and running. Say, for instance, a bear is chasing you. Anybody have a bear chase them? Oh, you guys haven't lived yet. You've had it? I have too. We can commiserate. I was in Colorado. I was just taking a hike, minding my own business, and I happened upon the biggest bear I ever saw in my life. He was just stretched out sunbathing, and he was not happy that I disturbed him. And my entire life, I kid you not, people say it, it's true. My entire life flashed before my very eyes. I thought to myself, wow, that's a bear. This is not the zoo. Run! And I ran faster than I've ever run in my life. I tell you, adrenaline and cortisol was just coursing through my veins. And I made a mistake, though. I had my backpack on because I was hiking. It was a pretty big backpack. It had stuff in it, you know. And I was running, and it was already heavy and bouncing up and down on my back. And then I made the fatal mistake that people make in the movies all the time. What do you think it was? I looked back. I wanted to see, was he right on my heels? Because I'm thinking, wow, how am I going to explain this to my friends and family that I was eaten by a bear? I wouldn't get the opportunity. So I wanted to know how close he was. So I looked back, and guess what happened when I looked back? No, I did like the people do in the movies. I fell. I was making it easy for the bear. As I tumbled down the hill, I said, I know this is the end. I never thought it would end like this for a city boy. Well, thankfully, when I came to a standstill, I looked back, and the bear was just looking at this weird human who just went rolling down the hill. Just kept looking at me. But the point is, I was able to really run faster than I ever did before because it was adrenaline, it was cortisol. And cortisol is good. It's good if you're being chased by a bear, but it's terrible if you're on Facebook at 2 in the morning. Uh-oh. You're laughing. Oh, you're like, oh, that's me. I know, you don't have to confess. I'm not a priest. So here's the thing. You cannot be doing things that go against the principles that will actually stimulate the cortisol. And I'm going to relate this to the pandemic in just a moment. Yeah? Okay, so the first thing is to trust more and stress less. It's up there on the banner. You see that? There are 10 of these principles that I really love talking about. Trusting and not stressing. Trusting, and I know what you're thinking, trust in what? Trust what? What do you want me to trust? I'll tell you in just a moment. Having refreshing rest. Enjoying sunshine. It is not an enemy, it is your friend when used judiciously. Nutrition. That's why we're having sampling every night for you to get a sense of what we're talking about. Taste and see. Exercise, drinking plenty of water, and then living temperately, fresh air. Now, these other two, I'm not going to get into so much, but those 8 that I just pointed out, the fresh air, the exercise, the sunshine, these things cost how much money? How much money does the sun cost? Although somebody was proposing recently to block out the sun. Yeah, that would be strange. But nonetheless, it's what's being proposed. But it doesn't cost anything, does it? Water is relatively cheap. And if you live like I do on a farm and have a well, it's completely free, right? How much does it cost for you to get plenty of shut-eye? Free. Costs you nothing. But here are the facts, the stats. Americans are sleeping less and less and less. It's becoming more and more difficult to sleep. Now, on Friday night, I'm going to do a presentation. I love to do this presentation. It's called, Where is the Rest of My Sleep? And we're going to learn about why people are not sleeping and why we need to get more of it. But these people in the blue zones, they understand these principles, they apply these principles, and they do it naturally. It's not drudgery. It's not something that they have to push themselves to do. It's just what they do. They exercise, and exercise stimulates you to actually want to sleep. Exercise actually helps you to manage stress. And what am I saying? That we should trust in more when we're stressing less? Trust in the principles to give you good health. Trust in the principles. I'll tell you a quick story. Quick story. I was doing one of these in Seattle, Washington. Anybody ever been to Seattle, Washington? Yeah, nice place, nice place. Not a lot of sunshine, though. Not a lot of sunshine. But I was there, and I did a 5-day from sickness to health, and there was a young man who came to the meetings. And on the second night, I walked up to him, and he was weeping. And I was it something I said? He had tears in his eyes, and I said, "Is everything all right?" And he said these words. He said, "Tonight, my life was changed. Everything you said we probably shouldn't do, that's what I do. Everything you said we should do, what? I don't do it. And because of it, I have this disease process, I have this lifestyle disease, I have this chronic condition, I have all these issues, and I'm really concerned about my health." That's why he came to the meeting. Now, here's the good news. We exchanged information, and he started texting me how he was doing these things every day. Every day, for like 2 months, he was sending me a text with pictures. Nice, beautiful food on a table that he had made, he and his wife. How they had joined a gym or were taking walks, right? And then, what do you think happened? He had a stroke. Now, that seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? That seems to be the opposite outcome of what I'm talking about, right? But here's the good news. Here's what the doctor said. Had he not started to make those changes, he would have died or would have been worse off. But because he started making those changes, he lived to tell the story, right? This is what we're talking about. Final period on his story. I saw him about 3 weeks ago. I was in Seattle again as a follow-up. That's what I do. Once I do one of these for 5 days, I usually come back to the area and I see how you're doing. And we have a big banquet and people go through a whole program for like 10 weeks and they just get healthier. They get better. And this particular couple, they went through the program. They lost weight. They were healthier. They came up to me. I looked at them. They looked at me. I looked at them. They looked at me. I looked at them again and there was less of them to see. And they were happy. He showed me his numbers. You know what I'm talking about? What were his blood sugar levels? What was his blood pressure? All these things he showed me, and he had a complete turnaround. Isn't that good? This is what's possible when we follow these principles. Now, so that's why I say trust more, stress less. Trust that if you get to bed by, what time do you get to bed, by the way? Uh-oh. She covered her. Oh. How much time? What time? All right. I'd give you a high five if I was right down there. High five. There you go. Anybody else? What time? 8 a.m. You stay up all night? We need to talk. We need to talk. Anybody else? What time do you go? Anybody go to bed before 10 o'clock like this young lady? You go to bed before 10? Before 10? He's going. But not you. Much later? A little later? To bed? Okay. Anybody go to bed after midnight? Sometimes. Did you know that when you go to bed before midnight, Usually 9 o'clock is a good time. You got it perfect. 9 o'clock is the time. When you go to bed before midnight, it's as if, and science has shown this, it's like getting 2 hours for one. So in other words, if you're in bed by 9, at midnight, you've been sleeping the equivalent of 6 hours. Yeah? What time do you wake up? And you don't wake up at all? 9 o'clock? Oh. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's normal, but good for you. Kudos for getting to bed really, really early. Now, by getting to bed early, and I'm going to talk about that on Friday, the things that's wrecking our sleep, all the light that we do by being on the computers. Are you guys on the computers before you go to bed? On your iPad? Watching TV? Now, the reason why, listen to this, listen very carefully. The reason why I call it, where is the rest of my sleep? Because resting and sleeping is different. Did you know that? You can sleep 8 hours, but not rest. Have you ever gone to bed and you were sleeping? You don't remember anything. You were asleep. But you get up and you're just like, whoa. You don't feel like you were sleeping for 8 hours. You're identifying what I'm saying? That resonates? Yeah, you don't feel like you were asleep at all, right? So we want to determine, how do we get good, refreshing rest, right? So you need to trust that you'll get refreshing rest. By getting out in the sunshine, you'll actually increase a lot of things and reduce a lot of things. What can you increase and what can you reduce by being out in the sun? Yes, I like this class. You guys got answers. You can do what? Well, what it does is, when you're out in the sun, you will build up serotonin, and then it will synthesize and convert to melatonin when you are going to sleep, because that's when the melatonin is going to be secreted, is when the sun sets. It's really basically functioning according to the circadian rhythm. We're going to talk more about that, though. But good answer, though, good answers. But the sunshine, you can increase your, not only the serotonin, but you can increase and strengthen your immune system. Did you know that? Did you know that the coronavirus, COVID-19, is killed on contact when the sunlight hits it? Did you know that? It increases your vitamin D, and vitamin D is good for your immune function and your heart health. Get out in the sun. It's good for your health. Now, it also does some things of regulating some things that you wouldn't believe. It actually reduces blood pressure. Yeah. Oh, you're laughing? You don't believe it? She said, I'm going to have to sit out there all the time. You have high blood pressure. Oh, you need to learn these principles. What I love about this chat group that has invited me here, they have a comprehensive plan for how to really make Willimantic healthy. They really do. I like what they're doing. I really applaud it. This is right up my alley. This is in my wheelhouse. They're not only going to do this 5-day thing, they're actually going to take an entire day or week going over each one of these principles. They're going to just really give a thorough presentation and sharing of the benefits of being out in the sun, the vitamin D and all the things I just mentioned. They're going to be talking about nutrition. How many of you have a really strong understanding of nutrition? Somewhat? Well, yeah? We're talking. What's your thought on nutrition? I mean, what are we talking about? What's a good diet? What are we talking about here? What did you say?
Not mine.
Not yours. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to help you with this 8. Are you driving and at night or something? Is that why you're going to bed at 8? So you're doing something that is of value and needed. But you know what? You look good for someone who stays up all night. But maybe we can help you out with that, because he said, not my diet. So maybe there's something we can do. Yeah, yes. Let's target this guy. He's looking for help with the diet. So So on the nutrition front, and my friend here says, she says plant-based, plant-based. And we're going to go from tonight to Sunday. I don't want you to miss any of the days. I really don't. Because when we get to Sunday and we talk about more than just a meal, how we look at chemically why eating plants or more of them is much more important, is so important, I should say, than anything that you ever can do right now. And that's what they found with the blue zone. That was common among all 5 of those blue zones. They ate largely of plants. We're talking about nice green leafy vegetables, things that are very colorful, like your peppers and your, oh, here's something. How many of you have ever tried purple carrots? Purple, yes, good. Wow, I feel like I'm speaking to the choir here. You guys know this stuff. Yeah, purple carrots are the most nutrient-dense carrots you can eat. Yeah, even better when you grow them yourself. I don't even eat the orange ones anymore. The darker they are, the more nutritional value that they have, right? So purple carrots, purple cabbage, right? Purple kale, all these things are very, very good, and we'll talk about them. But these principles are the things that these people in the blue zone areas, which is aspirational for us here in Willimantic, is what we want to do and see. And I'm hoping that you all will really embrace this idea and begin to go forward doing these things. Now, let's talk about the pandemic. Did you guys do okay? Everybody's good? Made it through? Anybody come down with COVID? Some did. I came down with it myself, but made it through, so I'm very thankful for that. They're saying right now that there might be another wave. Now, all this stuff is kind of debatable and controversial, and I'm not going to get into the controversy of it. But let's just say this. How do we prepare? Give you a few more notes and a few more things before we close tonight that are very practical things. How do we prepare for what may come next? There's some practical things that we can do, right? Let's start with washing hands. You've heard enough about that. I got some stats on washing hands. You know what the stats say? How many people wash their hands after going to the bathroom? Good. Yeah, good. The stats show that half of you are lying. That's what the statistics show, that half of you are lying. And the statistics show that men are the worst offenders. Nobody even got surprised by that. But 95% who do wash their hands don't do them correctly. And I believe in washing hands. I mean, there are germs everywhere, right? And we need to wash our hands and wash them thoroughly. We focused on the front of the hands, but we should do the back, right? And through the pandemic, we've had that, saying happy birthday twice, I think you're supposed to do, all that. But I'm going to give you a couple of other notes, things that you can do that will help you to largely prevent anything that comes next. And the first thing that I will point out to you is, first of all, don't stress. Because when you stress, you deplete your immune system. Did you know that? So whatever causes you, whatever that trigger is for you, whatever that stressor is, make sure that you identify it and manage it, because that will cause you to be more susceptible to coming down with COVID, right? So you want to make sure that you are managing your stress. Stress is natural, it's needed, but you have to manage it. Got to breathe, right? And then there are certain foods that you can eat that will stress you out. Did you know that? There are stressor foods. What did you say? I tell you, Tina, these people know what why did you bring me here? These people already know this stuff. Caffeine, sugar, what else? Meat will stress your body out. Alcohol stresses the body out. Cigarette smoke in your lungs stresses the body, right? These things will stress you out. So there are stressor foods. Processed foods will stress the body, right? We'll talk more about that when we get into the nutrition. But avoiding stress is going to be critical. Then you can do some practical things like keep the body warm. How do you do that? Summer's coming. You're saying we're already going to be warm. But you want to make sure you keep the body warm. As best you can, especially when you're in an air-conditioned room, keep the body covered, right? Long sleeves. You're like, wait a minute. When it gets to be 90% humidity and 90 degrees, I don't want to have on long sleeves. Do the best you can to cover up as best as possible, right? Right? That will help you, but keeping the body warm. I found this out. It's so powerful. If you heat up the body at least once a week, what do I mean by that? There are lots of people who are doing this thing where they have dry saunas or steam, and they just heat up the body. The world over, people are finding the benefits of just heating up the body, heating up your core. Just one day a week for like 30 minutes will strengthen your immune system. And then after you've heated up the body, guess what you can do? You're going to love this part too. You can take an ice cold shower. Yeah. Yes, it's also something that will do amazing things with your blood sugar, with your blood pressure. It will actually, do you know that they are able to treat depression with cold showers? Do your own research. Powerful stuff because it stimulates norepinephrine. And that is what you need. That's the hormone that is needed to kind of make you just feel good about yourself, right? This will help you to go from being wounded to being a warrior. This will help you to go from just surviving to thriving, right? So, heat up the body in different ways that you can. Sauna, dry sauna, steam sauna, whatever. Do you have something like that here locally if you don't have a steam shower when you're... No? Nothing like that in Willimantic? All right, then. Hot showers, then. You ever hear contrast showers? How many of you know about contrast showers? Contrast showers? A contrast shower, yeah, that's what it is. It's going back and forth. But there's a method to it. You go 3 minutes hot, write this down. This will help you. This will strengthen your immune system because by doing this, you will increase your white blood count by 300 to 500%. What did I just say? 300 to 500% by just doing what I'm about to tell you. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. You go 3 minutes hot again, and you finish with 30 seconds cold. So you do 3 repetitions, hot first and then cold. It's really just manipulating the blood to go back and forth and back and forth. Because what happens when that cold water hits your body? You go, whoa! You hit that first note, right? Well, the blood does the same thing. It just backs off. But then when you put the hot water in your body, it comes back. But when it comes back, it comes with white blood cells. And it stimulates it. And that's why you get immune strength from actually doing that, right? Now, here's something else that you can be doing to actually prepare for what may or may not come. But we want to just do the things that's going to help us out. Reduce that sugar you ladies were talking about. Cookies, cake, pies. I'll be honest with you. I have a cookie addiction. I feel like I'm in AA. Or is it CA? Cookies Anonymous. My name is Rico. I have a cookie addiction. I love it. I have a sweet tooth, and I love cookies. But I am temperate. You know how strange I am with this? That's a principle, living temperately, right? Being or doing things in moderation. Mark Twain once said, everything in moderation, including moderation, right? Well, I don't eat cookies during the week. I only eat them on the weekends. It's true. I only eat them on the weekends. And that's how I keep my cookie addiction under control. But I eat good cookies. In other words, I don't eat the ones that have bad sugar. What's bad sugar? White refined sugar is really, really bad. So better to make your own cookies or get them that have like a organic cane sugar, brown sugar. Not the brown sugar that they paint with molasses, but the kind, you know what I'm talking about? Not that one. I'm talking about like turbinado sugar, organic cane sugar. You can get those, and they're really, really good, right? So you want to make sure that you're avoiding a lot of sweets because there really is no, what do they call it, flu season. I don't believe in flu season. I think it's sugar season, right? When does it happen? When does it start? It's during the holidays. And what do we consume more of during the holidays? Cookies, cakes, pies, right? So that's what happens, and we deplete our immune function, and then we're much more susceptible. And that's why they say, oh, watch out for the fall. When that wave of the coronavirus comes, it's going to hit in the fall when it gets colder. Some of that is true, but we need to make sure that we're just doing the practical, simple things. How much sugar are you consuming around Halloween? None of you should be trick-or-treating. Right? We need to make sure that we are doing more plants, doing more things that are good. And then what about water? Do you know your body will stress out if you don't drink water? Thank you for drinking your water on cue. I really appreciate that. Drinking water is so critical. Our body stresses out when we don't drink water. So you want to start drinking water every day. That's a health principle. Begin to close on this. How much water should you drink? Also drinking on cue. How much? You know, that he says half your body weight, and that means something, and it probably means something to him. And you'll understand it. Thank you for that. And you said 8 ounces, right? Where'd you get that from? 8-ounce glasses of water. Right? That's something that was really being pushed back in the I think it was in the 20s or 30s, right? Yeah. And it just stuck. It just stuck. But what he said is more true, and that is drinking your body weight in ounces, or half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you would drink how many ounces of water? 75 ounces of water. And then, and I see people have their waters with them. That is water, right, ma'am? Right? Okay. So we want to drink more water. This will also be very, very helpful to us even as these viruses come our way. Following a plant-based diet, exercising, drinking water, following these principles will even help us to just be healthier, happier, and have much more energy. Does this make sense to everybody? I'm so sorry that you couldn't see the beautiful slides that I had for you tonight, but I just went ahead because I didn't want to delay, and I shared with you basically what is the key to better health, and it's the blue zone. If people are living longer, healthier, having more energy, why not do what they do, right? The whole world, the scientific community is constantly studying these people who don't have the aches, don't have the cricks and the cracks and all these kinds of things. They're studying them and they're saying, wait a minute, they drink more water, they eat plant-based, they exercise, they get out in the sunshine, they're sleeping, and they're not stressing because they're believing that if they do all those things, then they're going to have good health, right? So does that mean it's possible for you guys? Absolutely, absolutely. Tomorrow night, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, we will be talking about heart disease. Oh, it's such an important topic because we see that so many people are suffering from heart disease more and more. Even younger, they're having issues with heart disease. I think we're going to be sampling something, so don't leave. Don't move away too quickly. Do we have something that we're giving away? We have giveaways. Wow. With that, I'm going to bring Tina and Carmelo, the dynamic duo, back out, and they are going to share with you some things and maybe give away a few prizes. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rico, for that very informative presentation today. Did you guys learn something so far? And I think pretty good considering his presentation wasn't working today, but tomorrow, make sure it will be working. So do join us again tomorrow.
I'm thirsty.
Yeah. I'm awfully thirsty now. So we do have something special for you tonight, and it is a wonderful recipe, and we will be sampling you out in our lobby, and our virtual sites will be as well. But before we do, I want to let everyone know that because you are here in our live audience tonight, you will receive a couple of opportunities for some of our exciting prizes. Now, you will learn more about this tomorrow evening, so you do have to come back. But we have made note that you are here today, and some of you will have received tickets that you can write your name on for some very exciting prizes. Again, you'll hear more on that tomorrow. So, Carmelo, what time do we have to come back tomorrow?
Well, it's going to be at 6:30 tomorrow, here, seated, ready to go, so that we can receive more information from Rico Hill and the opportunity to gain your prizes.
Yes, and for our virtual and host sites, same time tomorrow night, you'll talk with your local hosts as you receive your food samples tonight. So we don't want to make you wait any longer because we all want to get that good sleep that Rico talked about. So tonight in our lobby, after Rico concludes, then we will sample a wonderful food sample.
Yes,
Can I say it, Rico,
what
or
is
is it a secret? Is it a secret?
No.
It is a recipe from some of those longest living Americans in that area that Rico mentioned in Loma Linda. We will get to experience a wonderful cheese sauce, but it is not a cheese sauce. It's not. Yeah.
It's a cheese sauce, but it's not a cheese sauce? How is this possible?
Well,
I have no clue.
You're
Come out to the lobby, you'll find out.
Yeah, go to the lobby and find out. Ask your questions and get your recipes. And at those virtual, the host sites, you can go ahead and get your samples and your recipes at this time.
All right, so thank you, everyone, and let's have a snack.